Hey, what is up, YouTube? We are so excited because today we are going to be bringing you our first reactions on all of the spoilers and how we feel about them.
Our ratings first.
And our ratings, yes. Our ratings are important. But I will say it's pretty cool because, honestly, we tried to wait till all of them were out, all of the spoilers. So there are a lot of cards that we have never seen.
Yep.
And so I'm really excited to see some of those. Today, we're talking about my personal favorite, and this was a request on Patreon. We are going to hit you guys with Astra.
So Astra's first. You know, depending on how this might be first up on YouTube, but we might just give it to the Patreon people earlier first, and then we'll start with our normal. I think we'll norm fire, water, and wind.
Are we doing the same rating scale as FTC videos? We are. Okay.
So let me break down that once Isaac gets back.
You're good.
Oh, I sound good. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. So let me break down our rating system. Here we go. There's probably gonna be a really cool cutout here. 5 stars. 5 stars is an absolute meta-defining card, something that shapes the way that this set is played. Cards that people have to think about all the time, or maybe they are a part of a new mechanic that completely takes over, is very strong, and you can see a lot of potential. 4 stars is going to be an absolute staple card, a card that you're going to see in most decks that play that element. It just is a very solid card. It does strong things. People want to be playing it. 3 is a card that gets played in a lot of decks, but not all decks. You might see it sticking to maybe, let's say, the control archetype. You're not going to see it played in control and also in aggro, like something like Creative Shock from Fire in the last sets. 2 stars. 2 stars is going to be Fringe playability. So you might see this card in that Prismatic Tristan deck that you have been piloting and you're ready to take it into the ALC meta. And then lastly, 1 star, that just means that it's probably not a great card for competitive play, because that's the big thing about this, right? These ratings are all based on competitive play. So, without further ado...
Wait, so is Creative Shock a 3-star?
No. What I'm saying is it was a card that got played in aggro as well as control archetypes when I was explaining.
He's saying Creative Shock is not a 3-star.
Oh, okay, I understand.
That was a card that got played in both control as well as aggro. Yeah. So, a card that's definitely a 4-star. It probably was a 5-star, if we're being honest, but we didn't rate those. So, that being said, let's jump into it. And out the gates, we're going in alphabetical order. We have... I should not have done that, huh?
That's all right.
I have Arisana Astral Zenith. Now, this is the Arisana, I believe, from the starter deck.
Is it?
Yes, I believe the 0-star calling is the one from. So, anyway, let me read it to you. Level 3, Astra. So, with Arisana lineage, she's a Cleric human champion with 25 health. Once per turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay a card's star calling cost. Now, I want to really emphasize, and this is probably my favorite card in the entire set, once per turn. It's not saying once per your turn, or once during your turn, or once during your opponent's turn. It's once per turn. So we are able to utilize that 0-cost star calling on both ours and our opponent's turn. Yeah. So what do you think, Kaven?
5 out of 5, maybe. I don't know. It's so hard to say. It's either going to be so busted or pretty mediocre.
Yeah, and champions are hard to give a rating to, I think. Too.
Champions are always our hardest. You know, if they expand the rules and figure out a way to do multiplayer, or multiple than just 2 people, it gets even better.
Insane. It's even better. Then this card is like God mode at that point. if we do have like a casual commander style format.
But I think any champion that has a continuous effect that you can use like every turn, basically, those are the champions that usually do end up being the strongest. And this is like once a turn effect, even on your opponent's turn as well. So.
There are star calling cards with costs all the way up to 7, I believe. And so playing cards that cost 7 for free.
There's cards that when you there's a card that we'll get to later, I think in Astra that we'll mention, is it makes everything have star calling.
Yeah.
And so it can make anything cost 0.
That's why I said 5 out of 5, but we don't know yet. Because like it's not like Merlin where it's just like every turn it draws your card. You know that's going to be good.
Yeah.
But this one it's crazy in the correct engine.
And if you get it moving.
Strong enough.
Yeah, because if you just whiff or something like that, I mean, we don't know where Astra level 3 Cleric decks are going to be in the meta. Yeah. So I hope they are the pinnacle, personally. But that being said, actually maybe not, because then if everybody's playing Cleric, it's going to be a rough tournament, and it's going to be a bunch of best of ones, okay? So that being said, though, this out of the two, for me personally, it's not even close. We're going to talk about the second one next, but this one is much stronger.
5.
If it's hard to rate a champion,
4.
4 is probably, I think,
4.
I think it's 4 because I think that if you are playing level 3 cleric, this is the Arasana you'll be playing. So that would be
I'll say 4 as well.
Next up, we went through the Arasana that we thought was probably the stronger of the two. Next up, we have Arasana Lucent Arbiter. And she is another level 3 Astra champion, cleric human with 25 health, so that's the same, with Arasana lineage. Her ability is pay 3 and tap her, rest her, reveal the top card of your deck, negate target card activation if its reserve cost is equal to the reserve cost of the revealed card. So this is an incredibly powerful effect, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Magic the Gathering player, you should know right out the gates that you guys probably do, especially on Patreon, know that I have the Magic background out of this group, and I've played my whole life. Miracles is the mechanic that I love more than anything else in Magic the Gathering, and that's Star Calling. Now, there's a card that gets played in some Eternal formats called Counterbalance. Counterbalance is a card where you reveal the top card, and if it has the same mana cost as the card your opponent's playing, it counters it. That's what this effect is. But the difference, and I really, really, really want to say this, you have to rest her and pay 3. She can only do it once, currently. If there was a way to maybe cheat that or untap her or whatever, you might be able to use it multiple times, but you can't lock somebody out from making a crazy turn, right? So where Counterbalance is every time something casts, right, it reveals that top card for free. It just does it. So what do you guys think about this effect?
3, but as the format comes to closer to, I guess, Worlds, right, because this will be for Worlds, it might get better. As people learn to navigate the deck better and really set and know what's going to be in the meta. Like, for specifically for Ontario, horrible. Like, you don't know what anyone's playing. You have no clue what anyone's playing. So you don't know how to counter, per se. Sure. You could generically be like 2 to 3 cost cards in general. You're probably going to, you can always try to leave one of those on top. But as the decks become more formed and more standardized, she becomes better because you know what you can play against.
Sure.
Inside.
You can tech cards that you might not even play.
Yeah.
Like literally elements that you might not be able to cast just to be able to match cost to fight that big deck.
There's tons of ways to put cards back into your deck if one of those end up in your hand. And then also if it's against the deck that you know, oh, dude, they're not paying a 5 cost. I'm not afraid of that super specific card. We just use it to pay for some materialization, right?
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that this could be very, very strong. I think there is a world where there's decks playing nothing but 3 drops, and you find yourself in a situation where you get to just sit back on this, counter whatever they try to do, and then continue your game plan on, and hitting that Astra element, and then using the advantage that it generates by being level 3 to win the game, right?
So
yeah. What's your rating?
Like a 2.
I would actually give this a 4, I think, because I'm really glad that Isaac touched on the more defined the meta is, the better this card is. Yeah. But also, like, you do have to read this almost like it does say draw a card each turn. Yes, you have to match a stipulation. Yes, you have to pay 3.
Oh, because they're losing a resource.
Your opponent losing a resource is almost the same as you gaining a resource. And I could see this Arasana being used more if the Star Calling gimmick is not as good. And you just throw this super controlly cleric deck in that you're just answering all your opponent's problems. Because realistically, canceling an activation, or I shouldn't say that, it's negating an activation once per turn is still really good. Like once during your opponent's turn or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't even use it on your own turn, but like stopping your opponent from doing one thing each turn is really, really strong for just paying 3, right? Like, I think that it's maybe better than it seems.
No, I think that the effect is very strong.
Yeah.
My thought process is, how strong is Mana Weaver in Rye?
No, that's fair. And also, I don't like that basically to really get this effect, you have to have some sort of glimpse mechanic going, which if you are doing that, then you're already kind of doing the start.
You have to glimpse, and then you still have to pay 3.
And then you have to, on top of that, be ahead. This is not a card that...
It's like 5 cards. Yeah. So it's so I'll give it a 3. So
Nice.
I'm giving it a 4.
We're going 4, 2, 3. That's fine.
I'm giving it a 4.
No, 3.
Like in case Starcaller isn't as good.
One of us will be right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Next up, away from champs now, we are on to actual cards in your deck. I mean, champs in your deck technically, but you know what I mean. So, straight up, we have a start, Celestial Dawn. It's a 3-cost, unique ally, Cleric human that has 2, it is a 2/4. Class bonus, fast activation, which is sweet. You can activate a card at fast speed if you are a Cleric. If an object would enter the field under an opponent's control from anywhere except from the effect stack, banish it face down instead. So out the gates, the big thing that I think is best to explain this would be like someone playing Incarnate Majesty, right? They play Incarnate Majesty, and on it puts the Majestic Spirit from your material deck into play.
Yep, it can stop tokens as well.
It can stop tokens, but I thought that was a good way that people right now could think.
For sure. Yeah.
This is a card that did not enter from the effect stack. It entered from an effect from a card that was on the effect stack. So by that card would just get banished instead.
Yeah.
And this can be tricky because in response to that card entering the stack, you can flash this in. So it's kind of like a counter spell. It's kind of like a hand trap, if you will. Like it's got that kind of Yu-Gi-Oh vibe, yeah? So you got this hand trap that like if someone tries to do, if we find out like, oh, here you go. How about that card we talked about on Patreon, the Exodia one, right?
Yeah, Assemble the Ancients.
I'm sure we're going to get to Assemble the Ancients, but boom, we get rid of a bunch of things as part of the cost, and it brings in a ton of dudes, right? None of those dudes would enter this field. They would all be banished, right?
That's a game when you move right there.
Yeah, so something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant it will be out the gates, but I do think there's a lot of play here.
Yeah.
So for me, I am going to say, and this is going to feel really safe, but I'm going to say a 3.
Yeah, this is rough. Because I want to say a 3 or 4. Because if tokens and all those kind of effects, if Merlin and Majestic Spirit is still very relevant, you have to kind of play this card to just like negate that whole thing. And
I mean, it's game winning, like you said.
Yeah, it just sticks there on board too, which is it's always happening.
And it does have 4 health
it's
too.
Not just a spell.
Yeah,
It's
they have to
2/4
kill
body, which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
Because even if you're a control deck, they don't want to put 4 damage onto your ally. They want to put 4 damage into your champion.
Yeah.
And if they don't put 4 damage into your ally, now you have a better way to start controlling the board even more.
I'm gonna say, I want to say 3.5, but we don't do those. So
Not today, we don't.
I'll just give it a 4.
I'm giving it a 4. I want to preface this by saying I hate rating Grand Archive cards. It's so hard, and it always like relies on so many things. But my big thing is that this is now actually kind of Water's only way to deal with Majestic Spirit, right? And I think it gives a little bit more interaction for strategies that didn't have a way to do that.
Other than the other negate cards that Water got.
Sure,
so many cards.
But
I know it. Removal.
It does stop Tony level 3 from bringing in his things as well.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
It has a lot of play.
Yeah.
And you can play it in a deck that might not have answers otherwise.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, super, super cool. Stops Onsole. That's all I was thinking in my head.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway,
that's fun.
Kind of cool.
Ascension, all that. Like, there's a lot of interaction.
So the card is definitely a 3 or 4. Card's good. Okay, next up, we have Astral Seal, which is a 3-cost, fast-action cleric spell. In Astra, obviously. Class bonus. This card costs 3 less to activate if it targets an activation of a card with the same name as a card in any banishment. That right there is crazy, and we haven't even read what it
really
goes yet.
is,
So the next part is negate target card activation. Banish the card that had its activation negated this way. This is the best counterspell we have by far. It's
so good.
100%.
So we've talked about before. We talked about it in our last ratings, as well as probably 100 times throughout our content during FTC. But free cards typically are broken.
Yeah.
So being able to have a card like this that has the potential to be free, because most of the stuff that's happening has already happened, or those cards are getting discarded, whatever it may be. Maybe you play the same exact cards that they're trying to play. It doesn't really matter. Even if you don't get to do it for free, it's still a 3-cost guaranteed negate.
Yeah.
It's not negate unless they pay 2.
Yep.
Right?
Which is insane.
Yeah. This is our first hard
This
negate.
alone, I would have been like, this is
Without the class bonus, it would have been like a 4 or 5.
Yeah. When we get Astra cards that are an Astra champion that isn't Cleric, this is still going to be probably played in that deck.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
No, it's very, very strong. counter magic that actually counters things with no back, that's a 5. In my opinion.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to give it anything less. I know it's not like an absolute staple, but it is something that...
It's a 5.
It's a 5, and I don't know.
It's kind of meta-defining a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird. Yeah. I don't know how to say it. It's not new, because we've seen negates, and there's other cards in negate, but this is the best negate card.
Yeah, Frostbind is kind of like... It's always... The thing that made it strong was it was the only negate.
Yeah.
As we move through this game, and more negates become relevant, I think we'll see Frostbind kind of fall to the back, right?
Yeah.
This is just a very, very strong...
I love that you can have a card in your banishment and still get that reduction from your opponent's spell. That's super, super cool. I'm so happy. This is Astral Site, and I'm really happy that they're continuing that theme.
Yeah.
I really like little cards like that.
Yeah.
It's like every single one had a site. If you guys don't know, there's like Crux Site, Luxem Site, all that stuff. Every single third element has a site. So this is Astral Site, 0 cost, action, cleric spell, fast speed, star calling, 0, and then glimpse 1, draw a card. So pretty interesting.
In comparison to other glimpse cards that we haven't gotten to yet, but like the original 3, we'll say, or 4.
Sites, you mean?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said
glimpse cards.
Sorry, sight cards.
Yeah.
That we've seen from the other classes. Because we have draw, and if you pay 2, get a Crux card back.
Yep.
Terra is draw 1, becomes a GCR. What are the other ones? Because I literally forgot.
Luxem Site is reveal 3, or draw, or reveal, heal 3, or draw.
Okay.
And Arcane is gain a level.
Oh, gain a level, yeah.
So every single site has draw cards.
Yep.
So that's the beautiful thing about these cards is that yes, they're third element cards, but they're always like, as long as you can play the card, if you don't want that card in your hand, you can just replace it immediately for no cost.
This one's on par to me with Crux Sites because of
it's
Ariel
much
Sana.
the stronger
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Because if you're star calling it, you are actually +1.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
Which is so cool. Because then you get the +1, you find it, boom, whatever we're doing to glimpse, right? Boom, we get to pull this off. Awesome. Then it casts.
Yeah.
Then we glimpse again.
Yep.
Then we get to glimpse 1, which helps us. Do we want that card in our hand? No, dude, I don't want to draw that.
Or trigger another star calling.
Another star calling.
It's actually maybe potentially better than Crux Site, which is crazy
I know.
to say because Crux Site is
I don't want to say like it's 100% better, but like it's certainly on par with.
You get to choose your card,
which is really
great,
good,
but can also be stopped by Lantern, and
Yeah.
you have to have something in there.
That's what I'm saying. You
You
have to
can't
have played
stop
it already.
This is
level up 3, play it.
Yep.
Like
maybe I hit.
Yeah.
+1, and you didn't even pay any mana for it either.
And like if you have the right cards, we're talking. Okay, we're playing against an aggro deck as Arasana. We hit 3. They have a big board. We need to stabilize. We don't have enough cards in our hand really, but we have, let's say, 3-4 cards in hand. We can glimpse utilizing something that we already have on board, or one of there's a lot of ways that we can glimpse before we hit the 3 and set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're able to set up the top of our deck potentially, even if we're not hitting what we need to pop off. But if we don't have all that, we have this that allows us to glimpse 1, potentially hit maybe that board wipe, or maybe we set that up the turn before, because we glimpsed. Yeah. We knew, hey, we're hitting 3. We've got that Astra Site in our hand. We're going to do it. So I think this deck and everything Astra is going to be, like the starter deck, they gave it a 5-star difficulty rating on the starter deck. And that's the starter deck, and I could not agree more. Yeah. The more streamlined version of this deck, once it's like all the fat's trimmed and it's ready to go, is going to be absolute big brain. Like the amount of setup, the amount of memory, because you're going to go through your deck.
Yeah.
You're going to need to remember how you set up things for later star callings. It is going to be a deck that you are grinding. Yeah. So that being said, Astral Site, for me, I it's hard to give a card like this a 5. I don't think it's like, I think the star calling is a 5. Yeah. So like if the star calling mechanic in general is a 5, but I'm not going to give every star calling card a 5. With that, I'd give it a 4.
I'm giving this a 5, 100%.
Sure.
Imagine how brutal your opponent chaining Crux Sites is back to back, and they still have to be like paying 2 for every single one of these. Imagine you're sitting down from an Astra player, and they go, okay, great, glimpse. Oh, Astral Site, draw card. Astral Site, draw card. Astral Site, draw card. Astral Site, draw card, and they didn't even pay anything for that. That's insane. They literally plus forward for nothing, for giving up 1 glimpse if they chain them. But,
Sure.
You know, it has that potential.
It does.
Like literally just ruining
The fact that you can +1 with it by star calling it is pretty nuts.
It's crazy. It really will bring back those vibes of Avarice loops.
Yeah.
Like a little bit.
That's good.
I'll go with 5.
Yeah.
I'll go with 5. Well, sorry, I think we're taking a little long on stuff, so we'll try to pick it up a bit.
Well, here's the thing though. I don't think so because it only has like 13 cards.
Sure,
so like,
sure.
we want it to be at least some kind of video, right? I mean, okay. Next up, we'll move a little quicker. Celestial Calling. It is a 4-cost, slow action cleric spell. With class bonus, this card costs 2 less to activate. So if you're cleric, cost 2. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an Astra element spell card. Banish that card and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in a random order. At the beginning of your next recollection phase, you may activate the banished card without paying its reserve cost. So this is like a setting yourself up to play, hopefully, a bomb of a card, right? Yeah. We get to reveal cards, boom, 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 until we hit those Astra cards. This card, for me, I don't see this as like a card that's going to be in every Astra deck. I think it'll have a very specific setup where we're trying to cheat out something. I don't even know if that's ready yet. I don't even know if that card's been made yet.
Right. It'd be a recollection, said, right? Yeah.
So we don't, I mean, I haven't looked at every single spoiler, so I don't know this, but we don't have a way to interact with your opponent's banishment zone yet, right? Like put it back in the graveyard or something?
Not yet.
Because that is something to note.
So.
In the future, if you play this card, banish something, and try to cast on your next recollection, then your opponent, like during their turn or something, might put it into your graveyard, and then it won't be able to cast it.
I don't think we have it yet, but
no.
Just something to note.
I don't think there's really much of that in most games.
Sure.
This is a strong card. I want to give it a 3 because I can't, at least from what I might like change my mind instantly later, so don't quote me on this per se, but I'm going to give it a 3 for now. But I can easily see it at 4.
Yeah.
Easily.
So me personally, in the current state and the cards that I've seen, I'm thinking it's more of a 2 personally.
Yeah.
I think it is more Fringe. I think that you might see it in one deck if it's built around it, but it's not an Astra card that every single Arasana deck is going to be playing.
But I mean, like, even think of like the card we haven't gotten to yet, but like the board clear.
Sure.
Like, you know, you're not going to be able to necessarily not be able to cast next turn, and maybe they only have like 1 or 2 things on board, but you do that, they're like, I can't play more units on board right now.
Sure.
Because like it's like as of a threat.
It is replacing itself.
Which
is, you know, that does make it a little better. I think then with that thought process, probably a 3, not a 2. But I don't know.
I'm actually going to give it a 2. I just don't think that it's that strong yet. I give it a 2 that, like you said, can probably go to a 4 one day.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember, like, giving your opponent that information is really hard too.
Sure.
You know, like letting them know what's coming. And you also have to set it up with like a glimpse if you want to like actually hit a card that you care about and stuff like that. So it's asking for a lot, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it is value, but there's a lot of stipulations to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Next up, we have another ally. We have Claude, Fated Visionary, which is a unique ally cleric human, 0/2, that costs 3. On enter, put the top level cards of your deck into your graveyard. So the amount, what level you are, that many cards into your graveyard. Then return up to 2 automaton ally cards from your graveyard to your memory. Automaton allies you control have taunt and on death glimpse 3. That's his static ability that he gives. I do want to say he is not an automaton.
Mm-hmm.
So just playing him, he doesn't give it to himself.
Mm-hmm.
This card's very interesting.
It's weird.
I want to give this a 5 so far,
Sure.
but I won't. I'll give this a 4. This very much reminds me of a Ghost of Pendragon, because if you are set up correctly, this is a +1, right? You play the card and you draw 2. Yes, you're putting it into memory, so it's not quite as strong as Ghost of Pendragon, but you're getting, and it's a 0/2 instead of a 3/4. And it costs 1 more. However, and it's unique ally. However, giving yourself 2 defensive units that can have X amount of health, right? You're choosing what units you're going to put back, and they're also triggering your glimpses for the whole archetype that you're probably building around. This seems like a really, really crazy control card, honestly. And also it's 3 cost, right? Mm-hmm. Like, let's say you have 8 cards in hand, you play this on your turn, you build up a bunch of defenses, you could still negate something with your Ares Sound. You could still do a Resolute Stand on one of your taunt units if you want, or something like that. Like, its cost isn't that high where you're like sacrificing the whole turn. You can very easily do this and one other thing.
And I do want to say that this in Astra is incredibly strong, even with like the automaton drones, like the little tokens, if we have a way to bring those out. Turning those into 1/1 taunts that when they die I glimpse 3 and make star calling things happen is very strong.
And that's only if you have no other automaton allies.
Exactly.
It's not giving those ones that you resurrected. Oh wait, no, you don't resurrect them. You put them in your inventory, so you don't get the taunt right away. I'm such a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Dude. It's unbelievable.
So you have to have some kind of setup when he hits.
All right, maybe.
Or play him and then play an automaton. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, but then he has to live to basically get that effect.
Yes.
To like really get use out of it. All right, I give it 3, maybe a 4.
I'm definitely at least at maximum of 3. Maximum of 3.
Around maximum of 3, yeah.
Because I don't know. Because I feel like once you get to level 3, you're not going to take the time to play him.
Sure.
You're going to want to take the time to do other stuff.
If there is a way to consistently hit level 3 with automaton allies in Astra and play him, I think that he is very strong.
Sure.
He's probably 4-star strong. But I think until that's figured out, he's definitely more of a 2-3 to me.
If you can get a taunt right away with him, that's crazy.
That's what changes it. If you are getting a taunt the time he hits, he's a 4. Yeah. He's at 3 at worst. Yeah. But if it's not happening consistently, if we're not able to get these automatons on, there is a norm automaton drone that makes you glimpse. It's like a 0-2.
And it has taunt already, doesn't it?
I can't. No, I think it might have intercept.
So with this, if that's on board, you glimpse twice.
I would 100%. So,
yeah, I would assume. Okay.
Because you would glimpse from this one as well as the second, so it would read kind of like if it was all on one card. Glimpse 3, glimpse 3. Yeah, exactly. 2 different on-death effects. So, like I said, I think we'll see. He's a card that has a lot of potential, but your deck has to definitely be built a very certain way.
It's not as generic as Ghost of Pendragon, where you can just look at that card and be like, this is busted 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I think, it's really going to depend on how.
And that is kind of the common theme in Astra.
Yeah.
Everything's like, hey, if you set yourself up and do, this card's insane. Yeah. But if you don't, it's useless. That being said, I think we're on to probably the best Astra card. One of them for sure. We are going to talk about Comet Fall. So Comet Fall is a slow action cleric spell that costs 5. It has star calling 2. So if you star call this, it costs 2. Yeah. We're reducing its cost by 3. Deal 3 damage to all non-Astra element units, and I really want to emphasize that units. Yeah. Class bonus, deal 4 damage to those units instead. So we're not talking about just killing the board. We're talking about also, burning our opponent's face.
It's a huge hit.
Yeah. 4 damage adds up, especially when you see some of the other Astra cards. But this is exactly what the class needed.
100%.
Without this card, I think Astra's unplayable.
It would have been the Rye matchup, kind of, and I get Rye has Anger Disguise, but it would have been that Rye matchup where you're like, oh, okay, I'm an ally deck, I'm sitting across from Rye, I'm going to play every single eye as fast as I can and try to beat their face in. Whereas, like, now you might have to be a little bit more, because I think this is way easier to pull off than Anger Disguise, and it's going to be more commonly played in Astra than Anger Disguise was in Rye.
Yeah.
I give it a 5 out of 5. Easy.
Yeah, 5 out of 5. I think as far as board wipes go, this is on par with the
5 out of 5.
Yep.
If there's an Astra deck that does stuff with allies and like a bunch of Tauntauns, worse.
Oh yeah, terrible. Sure. Definitely not getting played in that Astra deck.
Yeah.
If we're in an aggressive Astra deck, definitely not good because you're gonna kill all your stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was talking about
but dude, think about if you set up with Claude, the glass guy, with a bunch of automatons that all don't matter, and you just 15. Kill them all. You just glimpse 15 and you star call for. Okay, anyway, we're living in a fantasy world. That being said, card's insane.
Very good card.
Everything they needed. Also helps them push to end the game slowly.
It's crazy that you can essentially do it at fast speed.
Yeah.
If you star call it. That's what's ridiculous to me.
You can try to set up. I can literally do this on my turn, cost for 0 because of my champ next, and then you go and you try to rebuild, and at the end of your turn, I glimpse, hit another one for 0, and destroy everything you did, and I just time locked you.
Yep.
So
this is why I thought Celestial Calling would be good, specifically because of Comet Fall.
Sure.
Yeah. It's like if you're not going with the star calling method, then it's like, okay, you do Celestial Calling with Comet Fall, and that's kind of your only star calling thing. Yeah. But again, it's just so odd.
Yeah.
Next up is that 7 cost I was talking about, Condensed Supernova. This card is so dope. So it is a potion. It is an item cleric potion, 7 cost, Astra, obviously. Brew 1 Silver Shine, 2 Adjuvants, 2 Catalysts. How do you say that word? Adjuvants?
Yeah, I think
That
so.
sounds close enough, right? Sorry, I'm new to alchemy and creating potions. Sacrifice Condensed Supernova. Deal level damage to all non-Astra units, glimpse 4. So
It's so funny to me because I like this card,
yeah,
but all I keep thinking of is every time I look at like this and Cometfall, I'm like the mirror match and how like just dead this will feel in the mirror match in terms of like if you want to try to deal damage to face,
Yeah.
or if they have a bunch of if there's like they're playing some more Astra units or something like that.
This card's really interesting because it's not easy to brew
No.
at all, and that 7 cost is going to be your whole hand down probably. So it's interesting. I do like, again, fast board clear because you play it, you don't have to sacrifice it right away, right? So you can't do this on your opponent's turn if they try to like play more allies and like do a big sweep, like buff everything and then swing. And I don't know. It's interesting.
it's also, we have a lot of ways to boost our levels. Even if we're just talking about Crystal Empowerment. That alone, we're doing fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with that, that's pretty strong.
Yeah.
That kills basically everything in the game. There's a few things it doesn't in Terra, but I don't think I'm that afraid of that. That being said,
Look out.
look out those Sylvie decks smacking around Astra. But I think if there's a way, if we can cheat this in, or if, oh my gosh.
The thing we just talked about.
Yeah.
Celestial Starcaller.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that with this. It's not a spell.
Oh, it's only spells?
Yeah.
I thought it was a card.
Nope.
Was it just a spell?
Nope.
Oh, that card might be worse to me.
Yeah, here we go.
That's what I was saying. I gave it like a 2
Oh,
or
spell
something.
card. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I was definitely thinking it was any
Yeah,
Astra.
it's on its way. If we get better spells, then it's better. But you can't bring this one out. Okay, good to know. Now that being said, it's strong. I think this could be a giant arcane blast in some decks. So I don't know how easily you can get it out.
I don't think it'll be ran in every Astra deck.
No.
Yeah.
I think that if you are one that really does use the gather mechanic, which I think most will.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if we don't use our Astra stuff to draw, we are pretty much if we play cards that gather, we are almost guaranteed to, once we hit level 3, have 5 herbs out. And at that point, obviously we probably don't have this exact. Well, you need 5, but it needs to be a very specific one. But we do play like norm cards that we'll talk about later.
You can shape it.
There's ways to shape it, and we'll see how easily that actually is once gameplay happens.
I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't know if we said our stars.
Whoa.
I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna go harsh on it. Yeah.
I'll give it a 3.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna play Comet Fall over it.
Yeah,
for board clear.
Oh, 100%.
So
Yeah. I mean, Comet Fall's a 5.
Yeah.
Easy 5.
This is definitely more Fringe. I think that it will be strong in decks that can utilize it regularly, but it also will take you building your deck in a way that you want to cheat your levels, right?
I just don't know if it's a 100% the best payoff.
No, I get it. I mean,
and if you play against Astra, you can't kill them with it.
If Comet Fall didn't exist, this would be you would build your deck around getting the right potions and playing this. But I think Comet Fall does a really similar thing and is, I think, easier to set up. So I can understand why you give it 2.
Yeah, and I think for me, I think I'm going to go with you as well, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's a 2, and almost fully, because if you are going into this kind of trying to all in it for a big damage, and then you play against another Arsana, then you literally can't win the game.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's move to the next card, which is our first infusion, potion infusion spell, which I'm really excited to talk about one that's in Astra. So Potion Infusion Starlight is a slow action cleric spell that costs 3. It has class bonus Star Calling, which makes it cost 1. So here's its ability. Rest target potion. If you do, it gains on sacrifice. Until end of turn, your champion gets +4 level until end of turn. So this with the last card, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or like with any potion that we potentially use to then use a card like that.
Or put on a potion and then fireball.
Yeah.
Or it sacrifices the thing and fireball for more damage.
Or even something as easy as Scry the Stars. Brings our levels up, lets us glimpse further down to maybe get another Star Calling.
Careful studies.
Yeah, careful studies. For sure.
Studies, dude. Careful studies.
You can make, if you get the thing that makes Star Calling, everything has Star Calling, you can careful studies for free out of your deck if you're Arizona for the glimpse.
Yeah, let's give them more ideas, shall we?
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Congrats.
All on
that being said,
me.
This is our first infusion that we've talked about in Advanced Elements. It's a really cool new mechanic where you cast a spell that has to have this first portion. You have to rest target potion. This is not a card that we can cast if we don't have a potion to target, right?
Yep.
So we're targeting that potion, and then it gives it an additional ability. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a really, really strong effect. I think in the right deck, built correctly. But I'm going to say maybe a 3 at the high end. I think the effect is really strong, but I don't know how much.
I want to make sure people know, that you guys, the people out there, when it says on sacrifice, so it's not like overwriting like the banishment of potions and all that. So it's in addition to that. Just want to make sure.
You can also theoretically target your opponent's potion. You don't have to control potion, but it would not work how you'd want it to work. So don't do that.
I don't know, man.
Could you imagine if it gave your opponent's
I'm gonna
potions the ability to rest it and sack it? Oh my god, sorry.
I'm going to say 3 as well. It's really hard for me to give advanced element stuff lower than 3 until I hit the ranger class.
Okay, this is one a lot of people were excited about.
Yeah, this is one I've been referencing the entire time.
Yeah, this one's really good. Okay, we're going into Scry the Stars.
5 out of 5.
It's a slow action cleric spell that costs 3, but class bonus, you may banish a card named Scry the Skies from your graveyard, rather than pay this card's reserve cost. So if we have a Scry the Skies in the graveyard,
I love cards that like reference specific other cards.
It's super cool, super cool, and I love that. Until end of turn, cards you look at while glimpsing have Star Calling X, where X is the card's reserve cost. Then glimpse 3.
This glimpse, so it just starts it off for you.
Yeah,
5 out of 5.
Yeah,
this is insane.
Yeah, this card's nuts.
This is.
You already, I think every single cleric deck was putting forth Scry the Skies in their deck.
Yep.
So it is like, it's just crazy.
Yep. This card's
insane.
It's if you don't get
free
why.
Cards, dude.
Yeah, you get a free card of any card you want in your deck.
Yeah.
Of the top 3 or thereafter.
Yeah. Maybe you pop off after that. Who knows? But very, very good. Next up, this is a cool one. We have the first spell shield. We've got Astra, spell shield Astra. Oh my goodness. Spell Shield Astra. It's a 4-cost fast action cleric spell reaction. Class bonus, and you're going to see this a lot, we've noticed in this set. Class bonus, this card costs 2 less to activate, so now it costs 2. The next time damage will be dealt to your champion this turn, prevent that damage. Glimpse X, where X is the amount of damage prevented this way.
So we should probably immediately compare this to Spell Shield Arcane. Because they're both, at the end of the day, will cost 2 costs.
Yep.
Right? 2 as well. So with the champion's effect, this is, I feel like, on par with it. It's very similar to getting drawing a card. Because often with our Spell Shield Arcane, now granted Spell Shield Arcane could make you just draw 5 in certain scenarios and insane scenarios.
I think in low damage situations, it's really similar to Spell Shield Arcane.
Yeah.
However, I think Glimpse 12 is not as strong as Draw 4.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
So,
that's what I'm saying. I think on average you're going to be hit for about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
When you're using this to protect yourself.
The issue that I see is like Spell Shield Arcane is in Rye decks for those big 12 hits. And like that's why some don't even play 4 in there, right? I don't think this would be a ran as a 4 of. Because Astra already has like a lot of negates, a lot of like healing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I think that I personally feel like this is a card that people are gonna value a lot in theory, and then start deck building and realize I don't have the space for this card. This isn't giving me the function that I want it to give me.
And you know what's funny is I actually am on the complete opposite spectrum.
Okay.
I think that Spell Shield Astra and the power to glimpse is actually way better. And the reason being is because, sure, I do understand that a lot of times in Rye, all it is I need one more card, or I know what it is. But there is a lot of RNG involved in Rye's gameplay, right?
Sure.
So sure, I get 5 Enlightenment counters. Let's say 6. Let's make it 6.
Well,
so it's nice and easy.
I was saying this is equal.
Oh yeah, definitely
So
equal. But I think I would much rather, if I'm playing a level 3 deck that is utilizing a Spell Shield, I would rather be glimpsing and potentially getting instant gratification off of a card that I set, right? And maybe which is very, very
honestly,
good. And so like if I know what I'm doing and I set my top card is my nice Comet Fall, and you're doing this and I'm like, cool, boom, pop it off, even if it's 1 damage. You try to play around this and I have Comet Fall. So like depending on how you want to look at it and everything else, I think that I think they're both very good. I think that Spell Shield Arcane is a card that is terrifying. Now, I will say, I think that this card takes a much less hit when somebody counters your Spell Shield with a damage, right? A fast damage spell. A ping. Just hit you for 1. Okay, cool. Well, at least I get the glimpse 1 still.
And maybe Starcall from
and
there.
maybe Starcall off that 1.
So just getting one
enlightenment counters nothing usually by the time that Rye's trying to pull that
Now,
off.
I will say, when you do the 12, getting 4 cards is a lot. So,
that's
like,
what I'm saying. I think this is better in low-cost scenarios, and I'm not sure if this is worth using to pay 2 and a card from hand to try to prevent like 2 to 3 damage and stand glimpse.
So, star rating?
3 max.
I think that most Astra decks will probably play this. So
I could see it as like a 2 of.
Yeah. It's not a 4 of. So
Yeah.
in that, and I think that might have been something we talked about in before that we didn't talk about at the beginning of our rating system now. But I think that probably like a 3, 4 potentially, but I definitely a 3 to me.
I'm just trying to think about what the meta could. I'm going on a limb and give it a 4.
I think that there's enough ways to glimpse in Astra.
You're gonna get hit by Ranger for 9, and you're really like.
You're gonna get hit by Guardian for 10 with a swing.
Yeah.
I guess I personally am just not valuing the glimpse enough.
Sure.
I just think that there's enough ways to glimpse. So.
But also think about it this way: even if I don't Starcall,
I was gonna say this is one of the perfect glimpses on your opponent's turn to get that free thing because you're
Yeah.
blocking damage and now you're getting a glimpse.
I totally get it.
And then on top of that, how about we just don't Starcall? How about we just look at 10 cards and go, perfect, I need these 3 up here and I probably win the game. And I'll just put the rest at the bottom, right? So like, cool.
I like this next card.
Up next, we have the first domain in Astra we've talked about. This is the Constellatory Spire.
Yeah.
That's a fun word. Domain Cleric Spire costs 3. Class bonus, this card costs 2 less to activate, so it costs 1. On enter, draw a card. So
amazing.
Yeah. 1 drop, enter, draw a card. That's pretty strong. And then, whenever you negate a card activation, you may rest the Constellatory Spire. When you do, deal 2 damage to target unit. Very good.
Not unique domain, too.
No, not unique.
And you're glimpsing a ton, so
really
you're probably gonna get 2 of these on board pretty regularly.
Yeah.
If not more.
This is why I'm a little bit more optimistic about the negate Arizona, because this is a win con of you just sitting back and just making sure that your opponent doesn't play the game, and you will eventually burn them.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. In that world, in the other Arisana, not the Star Calling Arisana, I agree with you. This is your win con. This is your main win con, and I think that alone. I don't think that this card is like meta defining.
No,
but it's definitely a
1 cost draw card.
That's a 4. It's a hard 4 to me.
Yeah.
It is like the way that the other Arisana is going to be a deck.
Because I will just play this in Star Calling Arisana.
And I was like, this could just have the most basic constant effect. Like even if it wasn't deal 2, I would still play a domain where there's domain synergy. One of them is glimpsing based on domains.
Yeah. There you go.
And we've already talked about how crazy the negate for Astra was, right?
Yeah.
So it's like every Arisana deck is going to run 4 of that. You might as well put in 4 of these.
Just extra damage, why not?
Like, it's definitely an add-on that's not going to hurt your deck at all. It's just will you have the space for it in a strategy.
For
like
sure,
that.
for sure.
But, yeah. This is okay.
Yeah.
Dude, Astra has so many.
So what
cool
was your
cards.
rating on that?
4.
4.
4.
All right,
4's across the board. Now this is the card that I might be most excited for this card. It's not my favorite card, but I am ready to take this card to the next level. I know that everybody's excited about it. So this is the Elysian Astrolabe. What a name, first off.
Astrolabe.
Astrolabe. So it is a regalia item. This is the only regalia we talked about tonight?
I think so.
Yeah. So Cleric Artifact costs 2. That's kind of a lot.
Yep.
It has hindered. This object enters
Also
the
rough.
field rested. Yeah. Now here's its effects, which is what we're excited about. Materialize this card only if it's the last card in your material deck. And
not excited
only
about
if you're not starting with it. And if your starting material deck size was 12. So that's another hindrance, right? We've got a 2 cost, it comes in hindered, and then we have to also, this has to be the last card we materialize, and we have to have 12 material, which we have to have that anyway. So next up, tap, rest.
Currently.
Until end of turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay a card's Star Calling cost. When you do, glimpse 5. So let me just explain a little something for you, okay? So tap this. Until end of turn, I pay 0 rather than paying a card star calling cost, right? You guys are with me so far? So let's say I show a card that has star calling. It is now free. Boom, I get to cast it. Then this card, as that card resolves, I will glimpse 5. So this card will come, enter the stack and resolve, and then I will glimpse 5. Then I will hit another card, potentially.
Yep, cost 0.
Cost 0, and then I will glimpse 5. And that will continue as I go through my entire deck and continuously star call you for free.
As long as you have enough star
as many cards. Yeah,
Which
as long
there
as I have
is
enough.
a card in Astra that gives everything star calling. Yep.
So just want to let you know, I guess people are already aware of it.
Yeah.
There is an infinite combo in this game now. And this is part of it. And I'm sure that I will make a little video talking about that when we do something with Cleric.
This 100% will be a deck that we put up on YouTube eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know when we'll get to it, but it will be
I don't know how competitive it will be.
Right.
We will see.
Yeah.
But anytime
have to build a deck.
every time there is the potential for an infinite combo in a card game, I have to try it.
Yeah.
So
It's
that
insane.
being said, this card is nuts.
It is crazy, but it's so all in on something.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day a 2-cost regalia that can just be destroyed, right? And like it has to sit there for a whole turn.
Yep, so rating?
4, maybe 3, maybe 5.
I
I don't know, dude.
it's
4.
meta defining,
Yeah.
but it's hard to make it happen.
Are we missing a card?
I don't know.
We're missing the main way to win the game in Astra.
Let's check.
And the only reason I know this, I'm so glad that it was Astra because
Don't even select set, just do Astra.
that's what we.
No.
Oh,
teammates,
yeah.
do
Yeah, I
Astra.
did do that. I got a couple others in here.
Let's try that.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yep, 2 cards that we missed. Cosmic, that's the other regalia.
these guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Right?
Yep.
Is
So
that
we'll
it?
talk about those next.
Because they're
But
starter deck cards.
the other
Yeah.
card's right here.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. We'll finish talking about what this.
What'd you say rating?
4.
So here's the thing. If we're playing your Arasana,
Yeah.
and I'm going to call it your Arasana
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
the counter one,
Yeah.
we are getting to the point where this
Yeah.
comes out, no matter
Yeah.
what, right? That's what's happening. So in that, it's an auto include, because why not? This is an incredibly powerful effect. When we get to it, we'll bring it out, sure. It's insane. I mean, we could play the combo in that deck, because why not? Even if we don't have to do it, it's there. And then in a star calling deck, it's very good. But we already have that 0 cost that we get. Now, this one obviously lets you chain, so it does win the game when it happens, if you chain correctly, right? So that's very, very good. I'm going to give it, in its current state, a 3.
You said, sorry, 4?
4.
Because I don't think it'll get included in every deck. That's why
That's meta defining.
But it is meta defining.
So it's a 5 bar standards.
Oh gosh, it's a 5, bro.
No.
Hey, it's math. It's simple math.
3. We'll say 3.
Wow, yeah. Okay, we've got another astroscope. Here we go. Cosmic astroscope. This is the other regalia item.
Yeah.
Cleric staff, 1 cost. Class bonus, if an opponent would glimpse X, you may have that player glimpse 3 instead. And I do want to say that's if an opponent. So you don't like shoot yourself in the foot and then every time you glimpse X, you glimpse 3.
Yeah.
And then it has tap, glimpse 3. Absolute
Great.
easy.
I mean, it's really nice.
I mean, it's not meta defining, but the highest rating I can give a card that's not meta defining is this card.
yeah,
For me.
this is what you're gonna use in every deck. Just to get, I mean, regardless of if the opponent glimpse 3.
Yeah, that part's whatever.
Yeah, just being able to tap into glimpse 3 is a really solid card. Like, I'd love just to run that card in general.
I mean, that's why I said it's. I don't know if I can give it a 5, but if I could, I would. It's a high 4. For me.
Yeah, I'll go 4.
Same.
Yeah, easy. And now the last card, we have Cosmic Bolt. Now this is the card I wanted to talk about. I'm glad we missed it. So we'll talk about it last. So this is a, 3 cost action cleric spell at slow speed. It does have Star Calling 2. Deal 4 damage to target unit, plus an additional 2 for each card named Cosmic Bolt in your graveyard and banishment. So if we play 4 of these, just so I'll do simple math so we don't have to break it down. 4 of these, when you add all of those up, is 28 damage. It kills everyone but level 3 Tony from 0. So, if you go through all 4 Cosmic Bolts, you win the game. Kind of like Exodia. But that being said, this is I mean,
it's a good card.
And
it's target unit. You don't have to go face.
You do not have to go face. Yeah.
Yep.
Another absolute
4
highest
damage
4 I
is
can give you.
Quite a lot to put into an ally.
Is most certainly the highest 4 I think I can give.
Sure.
I don't think it like defines the meta by changing something, but I think that every single
fireball
will play 4 of this.
No matter what Arizona deck you're playing, you are probably going to want to buy starter decks or starter deck singles, which you can find on TrueChampionGaming.com. We have pre-orders up for starter deck singles and main set singles, as well as sealed product for everything. Go check it out in the link.
I worked hard on this singles.
Yeah, seriously. And on top of that, I bet you AI Isaac is about to tell you a little bit more about our website.
Hey everyone, it's Isaac. If you want to support us, get merch, or pre-order the next set from GA, then you should check out our website. Over on our website, you'll find stickers, t-shirts, playmats, and material deck sleeves, and the next set of Grand Archive for pre-order. So make sure to check that out. Also, if you like content, then you should check out our Patreon. Over there we have an exclusive podcast series, extra gameplay videos, and articles written by us to help your competitive gameplay. In any case, if you like what we do here on YouTube, then don't forget to like and subscribe, as it does help us out a lot. Thank you.
Okay, and now we're back, and I also want to leave you guys with one last thing before we end this video. As of, I don't know, a month ago, maybe a little longer, we are now part of the TCG Player Affiliate Program. Below in this video, you will have a link to our affiliate. It's a way that you can support us without really having to do anything other than purchase what you were already going to purchase on TCG Player. Using our affiliate link will help support our channel, which helps us create more content like this and let us do this longer into the future. So thank you guys so much for everybody who's already done so. We cannot thank you enough. And with all of that, guys, I'd say, hey, thanks for stopping in and checking out this video. Don't miss the next one.
Peace.